Welcome to Sex and the One, the podcast with B and KV.
Getting down and dirty about all things love, life, sex, dating, and relationships.
I had to call it emergency pod, KV. We need to talk.
Yeah, we do. We sure do.
You've had some heavy emotions arise over the last 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, for those that have been playing along for the last year, because we're almost one,
Yeah.
KB and I chat often, but over the weekend we tend to leave each other be, let each other be just to enjoy family time and then reconvene on Monday. Well, that didn't happen for us this week. We spoke on Sunday because there were all sorts of emotions flying around, and you're so vulnerable with me. I just felt from our conversation that it is so important, and obviously with your permission and consent, that we share what happened over the weekend, because there was quite a lead up. Our audience actually know of this person, and we have referenced this person before on our pod to what has led to this series of events that we're going to be talking about today. So I don't want to give it away. I just want you to share and do your thing at being the most amazing storyteller that you are. So yeah, just to preface, emergency pod meeting called today because we need to share what is going on.
Yeah. And honestly, people who follow the pod all the time know that this is not normal for us. We normally would talk about something maybe from the past, or there's a lot of stuff in the book that we might refer to that sort of this type of material. And generally, I don't want to be this vulnerable on the pod, to be honest with you. And I can feel myself almost in tears now sharing it. But as is always the case, what B doesn't realize is how special she is because of the gift that she gives me with her ears and her calm presence and her constant reassurance that everything's going to be okay. And I think it's going to be a huge benefit for people to hear a story of vulnerability, of some things that happened, and then see how that we as a sisterhood can all stick together and how we can all work together to to take care of each other, because we've got each other's backs.
Yes.
So let's rewind this story. The story starts in January this year. So my mother had passed away on the 26th of December last year, and I'd had quite a period of time, obviously, processing that. And I'd had a couple of weeks off work, and that just didn't stick. And, I just needed another few more days away. And I was like, where can I go? I just needed to release some steam, I guess. And I concurrently have had this favorite cookie place called Brookie Cookie.
We love Brookie Cookie.
We've both ordered cookies from Brookie Cookie before, like at Easter time and Christmas and any other excuse we could think of. Love ordering Brookie Cookies. And I thought, I'm going to go to Brisbane and go to Brookie Cookie. Why? I mean, do I need another reason to go to Brisbane? No. So I go to Brisbane, fly up there for a 3-day scenario. So while I'm up there, I open up my apps as you do, have a bit of a look-see around, and I opened up Field, and that is an app that is generally used for encounters, one-night stands, sometimes relationships, but it's more in the vein of some fun scenarios. And I got to chatting to this guy in the morning, and he asked me out for breakfast, right? So I needed to have breakfast, and I thought, actually, this is cool because I've got a thing. I don't like to just meet someone. I'm not a transactional sex person. I don't like to meet someone just for sex. And so I like people. And if I don't like them, then I don't want to do anything further. So he's invited me for breakfast. I'm like, great, I'll do breakfast, because then if we get along, great. If we don't get along, that's fine. I still had a nice breakfast. So we had this lovely breakfast. I told him about how I had a podcast and how I had a book. I always talk about that because it's full disclosure that, this is my life, and my life's pretty public in that area.
Make it on the first date.
Well, exactly. In words and actions. And so, yeah, so we had a lovely breakfast. It was fine. He was really fun to be around. And then he took me to Brookie Cookie. Like we lined up at Brookie Cookie. We had this fun banter with the other people in the line. We bought like 12 cookies and took them back to my hotel room and hung out for like another 3 hours or something, just eating the cookies and chatting and whatever. And he went to go to leave, and I went, "Hey, do you want to have a bath?" And I've mentioned this before on the pod that was my move. And he goes, "Yeah, okay." And so then we had a bath, and then we had a lovely little experience that was not G rated. And then he left, and it was lovely. It was really fine. And that's, it was all fine. And I wasn't kind of expecting that anything else would occur from that. Just, it is what it is. It was very nice and whatever. Anyway, a couple of days later, we started chatting again about something else randomly. A couple of weeks later, we started chatting again. And then the podcast question days came out, right? So everyone remembers when podcast question day came out every Friday. And I started sending him podcast question day. Yeah. So, B, do you want to talk about some of his answers to podcast question day?
Well, if I can backtrack, I remember you sharing that experience with him in Brisbane, and the walking and the talking, and like the intimacy wasn't, it was mentioned, but that wasn't, I guess, the surprise that I got from what you had experienced. It was like, there's a man out there that wanted to sort of not wine and dine, because that's really cliche, but he had the time and wanted to get to know you
Yes.
through conversation. And it wasn't like your typical meet up, have a little chat or have a drink, and within an hour go back to the hotel room and then leave sort of scenario. So for me, I think this scenario really stood out in and amongst sort of what you have shared. So he left a lasting impression on me from that experience in itself. And the way that you were speaking of him, I was like, I like this guy. Like, I'm in. And I think as girlfriends, you tend to do that. Like, when you've had a positive experience, you share that with each other. And I'm like, all right, I'm on board. Like, no red flags yet. And, he stays in the good list. And as he started to answer some of the questions, which if you go back to some of our previous pods, you'll hear the depth and emotional intelligence that he answers the questions with. And that was, again, a like, is this guy? And I think I actually said that. I'm like, who the fuck is he and where did you find him? Because
Yeah.
it's not, I guess, because I hear a lot of stories through you about men. Like, it's uncommon to
Yes.
have someone speak in that way, to think so critically, but also carry that emotion in a response. And we've read one of his responses out, and I cried, I think, in that pod
Yeah.
after reading that in
Yep.
regards to one, I think it was our Mother's Day pod.
Mother's Day pod. Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think from that, like I said, I was like, okay, this guy's a good guy.
Yeah. We both developed the perception that he was a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And from that, I'm like, okay, we'll keep him in the books for
Yeah.
whenever we have a free weekend.
Yeah. Well, the thing, what happened from there is he started watching every pod. So he was watching every pod, and then he caught up on the pods. And I said, "Oh, have you read the book?" Ha ha. And he said, "No, I don't read." And I said, "Well, it's on audio." He'd listened to the whole audio book within 24 hours, like once I'd sent in the link to the audio book. And so he knew absolutely everything there is to know
Well,
about
he's
my life.
listening. Yeah, he's listening. He's displaying
If you're
all the
engaging,
things.
he knows
Yeah.
how I think, he knows what I feel, he knows all of that stuff, right? So
And it's
so
pretty
we
hard to grab your attention, let's just be honest.
yeah. And interestingly, I have never had like emotional feelings for him. Like I've always liked him in the friendship category. Um
With some
like
benefits, like if you can.
Yeah, friends with benefits probably would be my level of interest. I was never interested in dating him or anything, but I saw him as having massive value, and he would talk to me about who he had been dating and who he'd been seeing and stuff. And every now and again, you'd get a little bit of a oh, that doesn't. I don't know about that,
Saying
but
that.
it was
Yeah.
never enough that you sort of like what didn't alert my ding ding ding
It
like
wasn't like an official red flag sort of scenario.
no. And so fast forward to last weekend. So this is like 9 months down the track. My son David I was going to go see MJ the musical with him. David decided he had something else he had to do. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to ask this guy. I'm going to see if he wants to come to the musical. He's a massive fan of musicals, we should say, likes to do that regularly. And so I just messaged him randomly. I hadn't spoken to him for a couple of weeks. Hey, do you want to go to MJ the musical? And he just messaged back, actually, yes, I happen to have Qantas vouchers at the moment. So yeah, I'll come down. He goes, well, what are you going to do for the weekend? Have you got some plans? And I go, well, no, I, was going to go with my son. I probably would have driven up and driven back, let's face it, to Melbourne to go to MJ.
Mm.
And he said, well, do you want to make a weekend of it? And I said, oh, actually, sure. Like, I'll book a hotel room. We can go see something the Friday night. We worked out what we could see the Friday night. I bought the tickets for that. I booked the hotel room, and obviously I already had the MJ tickets. So the weekend was getting sorted pretty quickly. And then he'd listened to a pod the following week, and he said to me, I just found out that when you're with guys that you always organize everything and you're always the planner. And I've just let you be always the planner in this. I feel bad now. And I go, well, all right, well, you can bring me brookie cookies. Like, and I might have said that maybe 6 times. Can you bring me some brookie cookies? Because that would be awesome. And then you can plan the dinner for Friday night, because he knew somewhere that he wanted to stay for the Friday night or whatever for the dinner. So you can do those 2 things, and I've done the other things already, and there you go. So he's like paying attention to what I like, and he's like inserting, in that, right?
And
So
he's trying to equalize, I guess,
yeah,
like, not maybe not the expense, but the experience. Like, okay, well, if
yes,
you've done this for me, what can I do for you? And you've
yeah.
made the suggestion, and simple, get me brookie cookies and book dinner.
Yeah. And so I'd said to him, hey, do you want to have 2 hotel rooms, or you want to do 1 hotel room? I'm asking him basically, is this a friend zone thing? This
Yes.
in my way, is this a friend zone thing, or do you want to have another experience? And I didn't say that literally. I just went,
Yeah.
do you want to have 2 hotel rooms and 1 hotel room? He said, oh, well, I'm happy to bunk in with you if you're happy with bunking with me. And I said, do you snore? Like, because he goes, I know you don't like sleepovers, because he knows everything about me. And I
Yeah.
said, well, do you snore? And he said, no. And I said, oh, well, I'm sure I could bunk in with you. I'll get a room with a bath. Now, I'll get a room with a bath to me means we had a bath and then we had
History.
sex, right? So, like, I'm a chick. We do these things, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, we're going to have a nice fun weekend. There'll be a bit of sex, and there'll be like, we'll go see, 2 shows and do these
Yeah.
dinners, and I'll eat brookie cookies. I mean, who is not thinking this weekend's awesome? I don't know. And leading up to the weekend, as you know, like, I wasn't sure which airline terminal he was going to be on and stuff. And I was like, this is weird. Like, it's weird that we haven't had a lot of contact before, like,
Yes.
before I've seen him. But it wasn't weird enough that alerted my senses. But it was just a little bit like, oh, this is unusual. Maybe he's having a busy week. Who knows? It was
And
fine.
we were joking about that. I'm like, oh, has he messaged you yet? And, I was saying it in a friendly, bantering way. But at the same time, I'm like, why the fuck hasn't he messaged you? Because, like, you need to know
Yeah.
where you're picking him up from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it's weird because I try and put, like, if I was with a girlfriend experience thing in, like,
yeah,
if it's a guy, how
yeah,
do you react? Or if it was a girl, how do you react? But if you had have made no contact with me when we were hanging out and we were about to go away together, that's fucking weird. It's
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Like I went away with 2 girlfriends the weekend before. We were
Mm,
chatting nonstop for the 2 days beforehand. You want to do
yeah,
this? You want to do that? You want to do this? What? Blah, blah, blah. Well, this plane's doing this, and we're picking up at this time. And like, it was a lot
yeah.
of chat before you go. So there was nothing. Anyway, so I get to the airport. I picked him up from the airport, and we went to the hotel room. And we sat down on the couch, and he proceeds to tell me a whole bunch of stuff that started to make my ears, what is it, my hair sort of,
Yeah.
my body reacted. Anyway, and I
Like a
at
visceral
this point
reaction.
at this point I can't tell when he said what, because the weekend sort of, I'll try and do like a I'll try and make it as chronological as I can. But he basically told me that a woman had just left his house an hour before he had to leave for the airport. She'd slept over the night before. He'd taken her out to see The Lovers, which was a musical that he has now seen 3 times with 3 different women. And this woman was a first date, and he took her to see The Lovers. He slept with her. She slept over. She woke up in the morning and left, and then he got on the plane and to come to see me. And then I'm
What a
like,
strategy. What a strategy.
when you're like, why are you telling me this? Now, I will say I did engage in this conversation. I didn't
Yeah.
say stop telling me. I did ask him questions. That is how I roll. I
Yeah.
like to know what men do with other women, because
Yeah.
that's, I think, a great judge of character. And I
Yeah.
was also like, what's the purpose for this? Like, I was trying to work out, why are you telling me that you slept with someone yesterday, like today even? Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, okay, okay. And so then I find out, well, he slept with three women that week, and the last one being yesterday. And I said, do these women know about each other? And he said, no. And I said, so do they think they're dating you? And he said, well, some of them would, yep. And he said, oh, well, some of them I tell that I'm still on the apps. And then he started to say, like, the one from last night had messaged him and said basically that she was falling, she had a deep feeling for him after the one night, like, which was a bit of a big message that she'd sent. He laughed at her message in front of me and didn't reply. He replied to that message later that night in front of me. He just left her hanging for 10 hours. And like, we know, and he would know too, I care about other women and how men treat other women. So I'm going, you didn't message her
Red
back.
flag.
Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm getting confused which chick's which, right? Because he's telling me about this chick does this chick does that. This one believes this one believes that. This one's in love with me. This one's not in love with me. Like, they're just everywhere. And he's lying to them all, as far as I'm concerned.
But now you're starting to see the value of disrespect creep in, which is so against who you embody and what you
Yeah.
are. So
And he knows.
that's where that I think that visceral reaction is coming
Yeah,
from.
and he knows, he knows that's how I feel. And
Yeah.
so then, like, he whips out his phone and starts showing me photos of these girls, one of the photos was just of a girl, like, and I was telling him how women do the selfies where they put the phone up like this,
Yeah.
and like, and I was showing him how they do that. And then one of the photos he shows me the girl's wearing a bra and not much else. And I said, would she be happy with me seeing this? Like, would she be happy that
So
I'm
this
looking
was
at
a
a photo?
personal photo like that she had sent him. It
Yeah.
wasn't like an
Yeah,
app
she's
photo or something.
correct.
Oh,
She'd sent him the photo. And I go, I don't know that I feel comfortable looking at this. And he said, oh, well, she's never going to find out. What's the problem? And I'm like, when you start going, yeah, I know what the problem is. And like, I actually started to say to him, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand this. Like, I'm really honest,
mm,
like I will
yeah.
say. And then he talks about one woman who had actually stopped seeing him because she'd said, listen, if you're not going to get off the apps and stop dating other people, I don't want to date you. And he'd said, so he'd stopped seeing her, but they had tickets to see Pretty Woman, the musical, next week or whatever. And so he'd forwarded her the tickets and she'd said, well, I don't want to go unless I'm going with you. And he was going to see her on the Sunday. So he was due to fly out on the Sunday to go see the Broncos in Sydney after he'd spent 2 nights with me. And he was going to see her on the Sunday and then they were going to work out whether they would go. She's thinking that if they go, it's because he's chosen to date her because she's given him this boundary and he has not chosen to date her. I said, why would you go? Why would you hurt her like that? And he said, well, I want to see the musical, right? So look, there was a whole bunch of stories and a whole bunch of things. He gets out his Bumble then and he's working out who likes him in the area of Melbourne. And by this point, I'm thinking, what am I
What
doing here?
is this? Yeah, like
Like,
how have you compartmentalized me into this weekend? Like where
yeah,
do you
like,
fit?
yeah, exactly. What are you thinking? Anyway, so also by the by, he's forgotten to buy the brookie cookies, which
Uh,
which I did care about because I'm like, if I've
well,
planned 2 musicals and a hotel room and I'm picking you up from the airport, took the day off work to pick you up from the airport, and you can't even get a couple of cookies, and he forgot, and then he didn't care that he forgot. You know that whole, oh well, forgot the cookies, like whatever. I
but
said, oh
it's just so fascinating that he's like, one of those balloons that you have blown up, those big ones, and then they deflate slowly over time. Like he was like this boisterous, amazing, colorful thing, and now it's just shriveled, and you're like, oh my God, and you're like
yeah,
trying to figure out where the hole is,
and it's
and it's
going
just getting
down.
smaller. Yes,
And
but
I'm
it's
going,
so slow.
I'm going, I've got 2 nights with this guy. I'm trying, I'm an analyzer. I'm trying to work out why is he telling me this? Does he still want to have sex? Because he wants, that's supposed to make me want to feel like I have sex with him. I don't understand. Anyway, I said to him, oh, so did you book dinner place for tonight? No, hadn't done that either. No, hadn't booked the dinner place for tonight. He said, oh, we'll just go there anyway. And I said, yeah, fair enough. It's 5:30. We're going to go. So that's fine. So we go out for dinner. I can't remember if anything much happened at dinner. We go to the show called 39 Steps, which was very interesting. I won't bag out the show, but we only lasted till intermission and then
I
we
don't know
left.
anything about it. So. Don't know.
Sorry?
Don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, you don't need to. Anyway, it wasn't our thing, which was good because both of us did not enjoy that. And so he was messaging the girl back from the night before at the show, and I said, Who are you messaging?" She goes, "Oh, I'm messaging. I'm finally getting back to her. He could be bothered to get back to her. She will have been waiting all day
Yeah,
for
but
him
in
to reply
front
to
of
the
you as
message."
well. Like,
Yeah, yes, in front of me. Yes. Which that's, I mean,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, like, I can see, like, from the history and, like, how you engage initially and the boundaries that are sort of set. Like, you're very open, but that's just plain sheer disrespectful to me. Like,
yeah.
you've got 2 nights booked away. You had it all planned. You've already fucked up, and now you're going to message the person you slept with the night before. Like, where's your
Yeah,
decency? Like, where's
It's
your
just it's just bad taste. And I
yeah,
try and think about it like if that was you and you and I were at the theater, you're not getting out your phone and messaging anybody at the theater. You're hanging out with me. You're hanging
yeah,
out with me. Like that's what you would do. Like you and I, we don't do that. We don't whip out our phones on each other. Like
no,
when we're hanging out, you just like it's just humanity. Anyway,
yes,
so then I decide that I want to go to Heartbreaker, which is my new favorite pub in Melbourne, which is like, it's just like a really fun place to go to. There's like all different eclectic type crowd, and they had like a burlesque lady dancing and she was doing a bit of stripping and stuff, and that was really fun. So we go there and I had a couple of drinks and I start to realize it hits me. I don't think he's interested in me, like as in sexually. Like I don't think I'm not getting the sex vibe. And then like it occurs to me, oh, okay, so he's talking to me about all these chicks, and then I'm going, okay, you must have had a different impression about what was going to happen this weekend. But the idea hadn't fully formed yet. There was just
mm,
sort of like, so I'm me. I go to him. Just wondering, how did you see this weekend going?
unfolding.
Like going with us? Were you thinking we were going to, have sex? Because that's classic KB.
Yeah,
She'll just fucking ask. And he goes, oh, I don't know, it's not off the cards or something like that. And I went, oh, okay. I just wasn't sure how this was, panning out for you. Anyway, I went to the toilet, came back from the bar, and he was chatting to another guy from the bar who was from America. And he said, sit here, sit here. And he wanted me to sit in between him and the other guy. And I'm like,
mm,
righto. So we're chatting to this other guy, and like, sex chat immediately occurs. I probably started it. I don't know why. But it's classic me. But it
because
wasn't
that's
like
your go-to.
I wasn't being flirty. I was like being my usual. So, like, who do you normally go out with? And like just whatever I normally ask people randomly in pubs. And he says to me, he goes, "Oh, look, if you want to go out with this guy for a couple of hours, and just have sex with him, I don't mind. I'll go do something else, and I'll meet you later."
Do you think he had like connected with people through the apps and had something else planned? Like, why
Maybe
so
I
rude?
don't know. I don't
Sorry.
know. I don't know. No, you can react. But I don't know the answer. I don't know why. I don't know. He did. I I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he thought when I said, "Do you want to have sex?" I was thinking, "I don't want to have sex, so I want to have sex with somebody else while you're here." But
I mean,
he
you've always been very clear with him in general. Like, so I don't think that
But
that could be
I would never
misconstrued.
do that. I just would never do that. Yeah. Anyway, so I had this whole anyway, it was really interesting feeling to be honest with you because there was like maybe 5 guys at the bar that were like really boring like into my soul like, you
Uh,
know, that they were attracted. And the guy that I was with showed no attraction to me
nothing.
whatsoever, like just zero. And I thought this is the most bizarre experience of my life.
Yeah.
What did I do to attract this? Like, because I start wondering what the hell I've done. Anyway, had a few more drinks and like watched the burlesque dancer, walk back to the hotel, and I run the bath, right? So I'm running the bath thinking, well, I'll run the bath, see what happens here. I got in the bath, didn't see him, didn't hear from him. Not that I overly cared, to be honest with you, by that point. But also, I probably wasn't interested, but I did it anyway. You know, when you just like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just judge yourself. But anyway, that's what I did and came back out to the thing. Oh, he's asleep on the bed, snoring.
Far out.
So
Lied.
no brookie cookie, no
You
meal,
snore
no
and you're
sex, and you snore. And so I'm like lying in bed trying to sleep. But by this point, I'm confused. I'm a little bit pissed off. No, pissed off's probably too strong for the first night. It was more like annoyed. And I'm
yeah.
thinking, what? And I didn't understand. I didn't
Yeah.
understand like what was going on, because this is not the guy that presented himself to us. This is not
Yes.
the man that I thought he was going to be. Anyway, so wake up in the I went and slept on the couch because I couldn't sleep there anymore, and I actually felt really cold and couldn't sleep because there was no extra blanket. So I had to go get my coats. So I'm sleeping underneath my coats, and I couldn't sleep because I was cold and I couldn't move. So I ended up sleeping. You sleep in the coffin position. So I'm sleeping in the
Oh,
coffin position,
oh,
and I got maybe 2 or 3 hours or something. And I woke up and he said, "Oh, what are you doing sleeping on the couch?" And I said, "Oh, you snored," which, it annoyed me again because he obviously had lied that he was a snorer. And he said, "Oh my God, I feel so bad. I'll organize our breakfast. I'll take care of breakfast." And I said, "Well, do you want to get dressed or what do you want to do?" And I thought, and he'll organize it for the room. And I was lying there in the night and I was thinking, what am I making of this? Like, how did I attract this? Why is this happening? I'm one of these people, like, I want to learn the lesson, right? And I'm lying there. I actually had the feeling like I was with my ex-husband. Like, that's the energy that I had. I thought, I'm with someone who is no interest in me whatsoever and doesn't care, doesn't care.
that
And
would have felt horrible for you.
yeah, yeah. And I thought, I've got another fucking day of this. I've got another fucking day of this. And I thought, what can I do about it? What can I do about this? And I knew we had the MJ tickets booked. I had the dinner planned and booked, and I'd paid for the table. And if you don't go, then you have to pay for
Yeah.
the meal anyway. So I was already committed. I'm like 2 grand in at this point. And he had offered to pay for the dinners, right? And so then he'd said about breakfast and he said he felt bad about me sleeping on the couch. And I thought, okay, I get it. I've been
Reset.
friend zoned. I've been friend zoned, and I just need to act like that
You're
that
okay.
that I'm friend zoned. So I said to him, we were eating breakfast, and I said to him, I didn't realize that this was a friend trip for you, like that you didn't want to do anything. And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Well, you didn't want to have sex, and the way you're acting and the things you told me, you obviously clearly don't want to." And
Yeah.
he goes, "Oh, well, it wasn't, well, it's just because I fell asleep." I go, "We were together for 13 hours. You were talking to other women. You were talking about other women.
Okay, so
You,
you addressed this at breakfast.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go
You
you.
I said, you're doing all this stuff. I said, that is not conducive to someone who does want to sleep with someone." He goes, "Oh, well," and I said something about being horny, because I had also said to him the day before, he said to me, "Who else have you been with lately?" And I said, "No one. I haven't been with anyone for 2 months." I said, "I'm not interested in being with anyone that I don't think is a nice person. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to be in a relationship, but I don't want to. I don't want to just sleep with random people. I'm just not interested in that." And I didn't really care that he wasn't in that zone, because I have been him before, like, where I've wanted to sleep with people, but never without that level of integrity. You know what I mean? Like, the
Right.
guys I had been sleeping with did not think they were dating me. You know what I mean?
No.
And so I'd said to him, I said, I think you're being mean to the women. I don't understand why you would tell me that, given, what's happened anyway. I said, like, obviously you want to be friends. Like, I get it now, like, rechange. And he's like, "Oh, well, would you do?" And I think he got offended that I called him on the fact that he was clearly not interested. But that was just how I roll. So we ended up going for a walk down South Bank, and we're going for this walk down South Bank, and we go past some people that work on the streets. And he said something about the people that work, like the people that do like the different caricatures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, "Listen, the guy that was in the book," because he's read the book, "that really gave me a lot of trauma, he does that same job. And so I don't want to talk about that, like, because that actually gave me a lot of trauma." And he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
well," "to be fair, that guy," and then he started defending the guy that gave me the trauma. And I went, "No, no, no, there is no to be fair. That guy should not have done what he did to me, and it was not okay under any circumstances." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I suppose, fair enough." Anyway, 2 more times over the weekend, he brought up that profession, and 2 more times I told him, "That causes me trauma. Please stop doing that." And he kept proceeding to talk about this girl and that girl and what he was doing with whatever and how he manipulated them. So he would make sure, he goes, "I like going to musicals anyway, so I make sure I go to dinner and go to musicals." And sometimes he's supposed to see his daughters, and like, he works late, so he just goes and has sex with someone instead. And he was talking about his children. Yeah, his commitment to his children just wasn't what I would consider commitment. Like, he was talking about, Like, like he gave them the bare minimum. And
If you are this man's ex-wife, I want to hear from you.
well, I feel for her because I think she's me, as in, like, we've got a lot in common.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
so
now you speak up. Now you're, you are showing women that you can question behavior and
well,
challenge it.
this is the thing I will always ask, and sometimes you don't want to know because I'm sick of finding out that they've done all these things. But
I
anyway,
know,
this
but
happens to me a lot, obviously.
better to know.
But I'd said to him, "Why are you telling me all this? Like, why do you keep telling me this? I think it's mean. I think it's rude. I think, why are you telling me all this?" And he said to me, "Who are you going to tell? Like, you're in Melbourne, so you're not going to be able to. No one else in Brisbane, like, will no, you don't know anyone there. They're not going to find out." And
Disclaimer, I have a podcast and you fucked me over, so I'm going to talk about you now.
that is not the reason I'm sharing the
I
story.
know. You've never ever gone into detail about any stories, and I feel like you really thought about this. So
This
there's,
is the reason for
there's
sharing
merit.
is, like, when I get to the end of the story, it'll be clearer. But the reason for sharing is because I know that there's so many women out there that put up with this shit from guys for way too long, and then they judge themselves for not
For
acting
what?
on it
Yeah.
earlier. And then,
Mm.
as girlfriends, what we do is we go, "Oh, you should have done this," and you're like, "Thanks for that, that's not helpful." Do you know what I mean? And so
No.
it's like that's what I'm saying about the sisterhood. Like,
Yeah.
you listen and you don't judge me, because really I'm already judging me. I'm already thinking, why am I still talking to this dude on a Saturday? Because what I was doing on Saturday was I was trying to talk him into ethical non-monogamy and polyamory. I was trying to, like, talk him into treating these women better. I'm trying to, because he reckons I'm never going to know who it is. That's probably true. I'm never going to know who it is. So I'm trying to teach him how to be a better human. I'm spending my Saturday
Yeah. Yeah.
teaching him how to be a better human.
Educating. Educate.
Anyway, we got back to the hotel, decided to have a nap before watching MJ. He said, "You nap. If I nap, I'll snore." So, you know what then happens, don't you? He naps and I didn't, because he did snore. We get to MJ. Thank fuck for MJ. Best show in my life. Like, it was so fun. It was very awesome. It was epic. And I'm on a high at this point. So I'm on a high watching MJ. We came back to the hotel. We got dressed out for dinner. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm on the home run. I can do dinner. And then, we'll go to a pub. We'll have a few
Yeah.
drinks. And then that'll be the end of it, right? So we do dinner. Dinner was actually quite nice because I started to control what we chatted about. Like, so I started to be like, I
Slip.
was spending
Try
the
to
whole
slip it.
time trying to teach him to be a better human.
Mm.
Like, you can sleep with a lot of women. Just be honest with them. Just, like,
Yeah.
tell them there's
Yeah.
other women. And if those women don't want to do that, that's their choice. Don't force them into that. Don't force them.
Well,
Don't
it's
don't.
not even forcing, it's manipulation. I don't
Yeah.
even know yeah,
And
it's not nice.
there was so many. There's so many. Like,
I
I
think the
rang.
trickery, like if they knew that that was his MO, like they wouldn't have said yes.
And you watch his reactions to their messages. He doesn't care. He just
Yeah.
didn't care about any of them.
God, I
It's
feel
it's
so
all a
lucky.
game. It's all a game. And I'm saying to him, "Have you got any male friends? Why don't you hang out with your male friends more often?" Because he's like, "Oh, I just fill in my time seeing chicks because I've got time in between seeing the girls." He's, like, "I'm just filling time." I'm like, filling time with friends, filling time doing something else other than
Yeah,
manipulating people.
not hurting people.
Like,
Yeah.
seeing shows 3 times, then telling the chicks you saw it with your sister. Your sister's never seen it. Like, fucking ugh.
Does he have a sister? I don't know.
He does have a sister.
Okay.
Anyway, I gotta get to the last bit. So we're in this pub, PJ O'Brien's, and which I'd suggested to go to, and the footy was on. So he starts watching the footy, and I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm so done with this. I spent the whole day, trying to make your life better, and now we're watching the footy. I fucking can't stand it, like." So I'm just wandering around the pub, and I
Mm.
sat down, and then he came to see me, right? So we're having a nice chat. We're a nice chat, and we're just chatting, and he started rubbing my leg, like he was rubbing my leg, and this is where you judge yourself. I let him rub my leg, right? I shouldn't have
It's
fucking let
okay.
him.
It's
But
okay.
anyway,
Feel that
let
would
him
have
rub my
felt
leg.
nice.
And then he says to me, "The date that I'm going to have next week with the chick from Friday night, this is what I'm going to do with her."
That's it. I'm out.
I go, "I don't want to hear about it." I said, "I get it. You don't want to have sex with me. I get it. You're having sex with a bunch bunch of people, you're manipulating them all, and you're really happy that I don't have the option to tell them about it, even though you know I would want to, because I don't like how you treat women. I said, and you're still doing it over and over and over again. Why are you doing that? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Anyway, so we go to walk to the next pub. I'm thinking, I just want a couple more drinks. Like at
Yeah.
this point, I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, we walk into the pub and he goes, oh, actually, I'm going to leave now. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you go into the pub. I'm going to go back to the hotel. Okay, see ya.
This has turned into an epic fail.
Just leaves me there at the pub. So anyway, at this point, I'm ropeable, right? So I do this lap of Young and Jackson. You know, like women when they're like,
They're on a mission. Yeah.
and then I went straight back to the hotel. You know how
Probably
mad I
got there
was?
in 5 minutes.
I didn't have to get my Google Maps out. You know how I can never find anything in my whole
You
world?
don't know anything about the city.
Didn't even have to get my Google Maps out because I was like back in the hotel
Yeah.
room. Was he in the hotel room when I got there? No, he was not.
Right out.
So I texted him and I said, why did you lie to me? Like, why did you lie to me? And he goes, what do you mean? Anyway, he did arrive at the hotel room within the next 5 minutes. And then that was it. He copped a barrage of KV because I was, by this point, I'd fully judged myself. I'm like, I can't believe that number one, I invited this guy to come and spend time with me. That number two, I paid for everything. And number three, I'm spending my time making his life better after he's not contributed to my life whatsoever. And I said to him at one point, what did you think was going to happen? Like, what were you expecting was going to happen? Like, did you? And he goes, I didn't give it any thought whatsoever. Didn't give you any thought whatsoever. And he goes, at one point, he goes to me, we only met once. And I go, yeah, I don't need to meet people more than once to be kind to them. Like, I can be kind to everyone.
It's not even that. It's the way I feel that he presented himself from the initial contact and every interaction from there, whether even though you weren't in the same state, the conversation was deep, the conversation was, held some emotional intelligence. It was, interactive discussion. Just be a good human.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
why would it be
100%. And it's lies.
C-U-N-T?
It's lies. It's absolute lies. Anyway, so I said to him, I don't understand what you're doing. Why are you doing this to me? You know that really causes me pain. You've caused me pain a bunch of times over the weekend. I am so over you doing that and then not giving a shit. I said, your mother was right. You did never grow up. Because he told me that over the weekend. I said, you did never grow up. I can't believe that you claim to have this integrity. You've learned what to say to women to get what you need, but you don't have anything to back it up. I said, I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted. And so then I'm just like, I don't know what else I said, to be honest with you. When you just flip your switch. Anyway, I think he thinks that I'm in love with him or something, and that I've got issues because I'm wanting it to be something more than it is. No, I just want him to be a human. I just want him to have some sense of humanity, right? And so I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so then I lied back down. When you lie down, I thought, I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. But I thought, this is the people pleaser. This is where I judge myself. And I know a bunch of other women will do the same thing. I'm like, I can't kick him out though, because I invited him. I made him come from Brisbane, which is what I thought on the Saturday morning. I thought I would have ended that date.
Force him to book a flight. No. You did not.
No, but if it was anyone else, I would have ended the date on Friday, halfway through the day. Do you know what I mean? And it was any other circumstances. But the whole time, the people pleaser comes out, and you think, oh well, I asked for this. I invited him, and it's just a few more hours. That whole thing. And then something came over me, and I thought, no, fuck this. If he sleeps over, this is not going to have impacted his life at all. He's not going to have given a shit at all.
He's feeling a very different way.
Move to the next place and he'll just enjoy he's seeing MJ, which I'm presuming is why he came, because I don't know why the fuck he came besides to hurt me.
Yeah.
And so he says so I said to him, look, can you leave? Why are you still here? And he goes, oh, do you want me to leave? And I said, yes. And he goes, why? And I said, because I'm about to cry and I don't want you to see it or hear it. Anyway, it was too late. I started crying. I pulled, you pull the covers over your head, pull the covers over my head, and I'm starting to bawl. He said something. I don't know what he said because I was crying. And I stopped crying and I pulled the covers back and I said, you're still here? And he said, "Oh, do you want me to go?" And I said, "Yes, I've already asked you to go." So then he puts his clothes on and then he says, "So I'll go for a couple of hours and come back." I go, "No, I've asked you to leave. This is now the third time I've asked you to leave." Anyway, he finally gets dressed and he leaves, and I like lock the door behind him, and I'm just like bawling my eyes out. And I'm thinking, "Oh, that's right." Before he left, I said to him, "I don't understand how you can do this to somebody and you can treat them like that and you don't care." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I'm really upset." And I said, "Do you not like, what do you feel about that?" And he goes, "I'm happy. I don't care." I
Mm.
said, "You're happy that I'm upset." And he
It's like
goes, "Well,"
emotional turmoil, like emotional abuse. Like
he goes,
it's
he goes, "It doesn't affect me. What, I'm happy anyway. I'm going to be happy no matter what happens. Like, I'm a happy person. I don't get sad." And I thought, gotcha, we're dealing with somebody who doesn't have real feelings. And then it clicked in me that I was spending time with my ex-husband, and we won't call him a sociopath because I'm not qualified to say that. We'll just say that we had sociopathic like tendencies because he had no feelings at all. I'm bawling my eyes out. I don't even care if he thought that was ridiculous overreaction. You know why I was crying? I was crying for all those fucking women that he's treating
mm.
badly, and then he put me in the position where I know, and like I can't tell them. I can't warn them. Like, and if I fell for it, they fucking are for sure. Because I
This
would have thought
is,
I was all over it. I'm so embarrassed.
there's a term I learned it this week. There's a duty of care. There's actually a
Yep.
duty to warn. And here we are. We are warning those women out there
Yes.
of this man.
Th-
If I
th- th-
could find him, I'm not on the apps. I will find him. If anyone else wants to complete this mission with me, like, please send me a message. I am on a mission. Like, I can't believe that women are treated like this often. And it
Mm.
broke my heart when you told me because,
And
I said,
because
how was your weekend? Like, how was it?
and
And this
and
is the message I get.
I didn't even want to date him. All
No.
I wanted to do was have sex. Like, I didn't even want to date him. I can't even fucking spend 2 days with him because he was that much of an asshole. Like,
Mm.
and didn't care. Like, I don't know anyone that doesn't care when someone else is crying. And like, I had been so kind and so gracious, like, about the fact that he forgot everything when I slept on the couch. Like, spent the whole day trying to make him feel better. Do you know what I mean? Like, not make him feel better, make
I
him
know.
be
I
better.
know. I
And
know.
then the clicker was, that's not a word, but do you know what I'm saying? I woke up in the morning and got dressed, got myself organized, went downstairs and paid my bill. And I had to pay for the breakfast.
The breakfast that he said that he was going to pay for.
Yeah.
What a fucking
That he was
asshole.
going to do to make up for me. So I spent 10 times more than he did over the weekend.
You know what?
And
I know I understand the financial additional, like this, the sum of it all. It's not even about that for me. I think like sitting here as a friend, having to listen to what you've endured for that period of time, I think it's a whole heap of bullshit. And you just shouldn't have to put up with that behavior. No one should have to put up with that behavior. And I'm sorry that you had to
well, it's
experience that. I mean, like you.
sorry. The reason I wanted to share too is like I want to share the whole story because there's so many people that will listen to this story and say, should have dumped him on the Friday night, should have said something earlier, should have done this, should have done this. I get it. I feel that. I get it. I know. I agree. I agree. But this is what we do. This is what we do. We put up with this shit from guys, and then I'm trying to make his life better. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm admitting that I'm doing all of this because I'm hoping that there's someone else out there that's done the same, that's also going to wake up and go, it's not your fault. It's not your
It's
fault.
definitely,
It's not your
it's not.
fault. And I
There's
spent
nothing
two
else
days
you
in
would have
gut
done
wrenching
differently.
pain. I spent
Yeah.
2 days like I couldn't, I was just, like, my gut was just absolutely churning. And then last night, on the third night, I actually started to minimize it. I'm lying on my couch at home going, oh, well, maybe, I mean, I've slept with a lot of people. So, maybe he's just like, like me because, it's like whatever. And
No,
I'm starting to, like, this is where my brain goes. I'm starting to make it okay what he's done because then
you're
I can
normalizing the
excuse
behavior.
myself. I can excuse myself for not
Hmm.
acting earlier because I'm blaming me for what he's done.
No,
And
there's
like,
nothing.
I want to say to women, I get it. I've done it. I just did it this weekend. If you've done it too, like, love yourself. I love you.
We
And
love you.
We don't deserve this. We don't
No,
deserve this. I
no.
didn't ask for this. I didn't make up something. I didn't I didn't picture him in my head to be something he wasn't. He
Mm.
presented himself that way deliberately and consistently. I don't know what he wanted. Free musical.
It's still unclear, but yeah, it seems that the free musical it was. And you've had no contact with him now, right? Like that's it.
I messaged. He said to me as he was leaving, "I know you're going to. I know. I don't know if you want to hear from me tomorrow or not, but I am going to message you to check in." He did not message me to check in, and I messaged him with a longer message detailing all of the things that I felt where I was
Good.
disrespected over the weekend, and then he did not reply to that because
The
what's he going to
message here
say?
is, yeah, what's he going to say? But what I love is that you didn't retreat. You stood up for yourself. You put it in writing. So not only did you speak and you use your own voice to say, this is not okay, leave, you then put it in writing. And whatever comes from that now. But here you are sharing from the depths of your heart with our audience to hopefully, you know, connect and build some rapport with others that show, hey, this does happen, even to me, KV, that,
Well,
we're all over it sometimes. But
because the worst thing is you just feel so stupid. I feel so
mm,
stupid. Like how could I not have
mhm.
seen it? He deliberately made sure I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the mask dropped. And I'm really sorry that it was on that weekend that you had.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think from here, if you've, tuned in and, something with the story has resonated with you, please contact us. Let's continue this conversation. Let's continue the community of female, support and love because yeah, I really do think that there's some power and magic in that. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm sorry that you've had those feelings come to the boil, but I do feel as though this is quite cathartic and really beneficial for people to hear. Yeah, your vulnerability has been received, and I love you. And
I love
I
you
hope
too.
that you're okay.
Chicks before dicks, mate. Love you.
Love you. Thanks for listening to Sex and the One, an original podcast created by
KV and B.
produced by
B and KV.
content by
KV and B.
enthusiasm for sex.
B. And mostly KV.